In this video, we're going to hear James O'Brien absolutely dismantle a Trump bootlicker, making him look like a complete fool. Let's get into it.
Paul is in Hookin, Hampshire. Paul, what would you like to say?
No, just there's the emotion around this, and name calling, and Trump's this, Trump's that, Trump's the other. I don't know why everybody's so surprised. When he was, going for election, he said he was going to do this. Everybody knew he was going to do it.
Everybody kept telling us to ignore what he said and concentrate on what he did. You remember?
I do, but again, we've got short memories. When he was, in his first term, he said he would do a number of things, and he did.
Well, he did. He said he was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one. He said the stock market would go up and he'd make everyone richer. You now have the Swiss investment bank UBS, widely regarded as a leader in this field, predicting an inevitable recession with growth, GDP.
We'll see. We'll see in time. But, this happened 2 days ago. My point's very simple. He said he was going to do this. He's done it. The emotion and the response is quite ridiculous, I think, in terms of, he will want deals. He wants to make a deal with people. This is his way of doing it. No, you don't need to like it. None of us need to like it. But name calling and saying he's this, that, and the other, I just don't think it takes anybody anywhere.
You're being a bit woke, Paul. A little bit of name calling, a little bit of mischief, a little bit of fun. It keeps us all honest.
I'm the least woke.
Keeps the conversation fresh.
Least woke bloke in the world.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
In the world.
So, what should Starmer do in this context then?
It's at this moment he completely exposes how little he knows about the impact and implications of the tariffs, which is fine. But you might not want to speak about it live on radio if you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I think the first thing is, it's 10%. I think that was probably better than the UK thought it was going to be. I think...
no, it's exactly the same as every other country in the same situation as ours.
Yeah, except Europe.
No, they're not in the same situation as us. They have a different trade balance, a different balance of trade. So any country with a comparable balance of trade to us gets the 10%. There's no special treatment there whatsoever.
Okay, so that's where we are. Trump is looking after America. It's his country. It's not our country.
You just said it's going to go into recession. Its own stock market. They've lost $2 trillion. How is that looking after America? No, I will, but you're going to have to address the question of how is a $2 trillion loss overnight looking after America?
Well, he's talking 1 day, 2 days. Let's see what it's like in 3 months. Who knows? I don't know, and nor do you. And nor does anybody else.
You just said he's looking after America, and I've just said he's just lost trillions of dollars. So in the context, so in the context of now, he's hitting America really, really hard. But at some unspecified point in the future, things might go really well. Did you vote for Brexit?
Now we start to get a good understanding on the reason for his views, and this is the point where he continues to make himself look stupid.
Pardon?
Did you vote for Brexit?
I did.
Yeah. And this was the same argument we heard then.
Well, no, but Starmer is the leader of Britain. Hang on. Starmer's the leader of Britain. Because we are on our own, he can decide what the government decides to do in response to these tariffs. Now, he can retaliate. That's up to him. He's our leader. Yeah. He needs to look after Britain. Yeah, that's his country. And the Swiss need to look after the Swiss, et cetera, et cetera. And it all goes around like that.
Yes.
Because that's what Trump's doing.
So what do you think looking after Britain would look like? And you can't keep saying that Trump is looking after America because he's just tanked trillions of dollars from the American economy. They've laid off car workers in America temporarily as a direct result of the impacts his tariffs will have upon their overseas operations. But you knew that.
Well, I know that, but I think, Rome isn't built in 2 days, and nor's a response. We're talking about 2 days.
But this is Brexit again.
Yeah, but you're talking 2 days.
But I'm talking $2 trillion.
You know the market's probably better than I do.
When's the last time $2 trillion were lost overnight? US stocks plunged.
I have no idea.
But doesn't it matter, though, to your optimism, especially after your vote for Brexit went so badly? Doesn't this idea of sticking all your eggs in things are going to be great at some unspecified point in the future, haven't you kind of got bored of that yet?
I just think people are so surprised by something he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he's done it. Now, the response will be interesting. I think, he prides himself, if people want to call him a narcissist, he prides himself on being the art of the deal.
What he
wants to do is to negotiate.
Well, he didn't write that book.
Well, no, I know. You're right.
Do you know what happened the last time they brought in tariffs like this?
Oh, God, no. I haven't got a clue.
But doesn't it matter, Paul?
No, because I think that...
that's why I find conversations like this fascinating. You voted for Brexit. You're making all the same arguments about Brexit. Brexit was an undiluted catastrophe, but this one will go really well.
For some reason, he decides to double down here, and this would be his most fatal mistake. And you can tell he immediately regretted it, as he struggles to name a single benefit of Brexit.
Well, I'm not sure it's a catastrophe, was it?
What's your favourite bit?
Pardon me?
What's your favourite bit?
My favourite bit is, well, you've probably got a point, actually. It's about controlling entry and exit from the country.
How's that worked out for you?
That's probably, you have a point.
Yeah, and we could, of course, have controlled it a lot more robustly before you voted for it. So the thing you voted for has been a catastrophe. The reason why you voted for it has got immeasurably worse, but you believed things would be brilliant at some unspecified point in the future, and here you are making exactly the same arguments about Donald Trump.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I think, no, hang on.
I have hung on.
It's about the people. It's about the people, who are leading, this country. Yeah, and it should be very easy for this country to control its borders. They don't, because the government before and this government are useless.
See, I have a theory that everybody who likes Trump and Brexit is obsessed with immigration. And here you are talking about $2 trillion losses that America has taken overnight, saying, hey, wait and see, it might all turn out to be brilliant. But what you really, really care about is immigration.
No, I don't. I think I care about it.
Why'd you bring it up then?
Well, you brought it up. I didn't.
No, I didn't. I asked what your favourite bit of Brexit. I asked what your favourite bit of Brexit was. I asked what your favourite bit of Brexit was.
I gave you an example. You're right. Yeah, but no.
So, what is your actual favourite bit of all the things that have happened? Yeah, and Brexit has played out, which is why the parallel is so interesting. So, of all the things that have happened, what's your favourite bit?
He can't think of anything, and all he can do is try to dodge the question and laugh uncomfortably.
Of Brexit?
Yeah.
I think just controlling your own laws.
Which ones do we control now that we didn't control before?
There's a lot now that we're not impacted by the EU that we were. I didn't like being dictated to by Brussels.
On what? On what?
Well, whatever the silly laws came out of there.
Go on, then, give me one. Give me one.
Oh, come on, there were loads.
I can't think of one, but you can, because you know that there are loads. Go on, give me one.
Don't be silly.
Give me one law.
Out of Brussels, there were loads out of
Brussels. Give me one. Why is that funny? Lots. You voted for it. There are lots, and you can't name one.
Well, Brussels, we didn't have control of our own laws.
For example?
I can't think of an example.
Well, I'll wait.
Pardon me?
I'll wait.
You'll have a long way. I can't think of an example.
No, but you're bound to be able to, because there's loads. Paul just told me. So I'll wait.
You're very good, but no.
No, I'm not. I just care about facts.
Anyway, we're not talking about Brexit.
No, I am. I'm waiting now.
He tries to change the subject, but James O'Brien sees straight through him and puts him into checkmate.
You're waiting. The economy, let's wait and see.
Tell me the thing that's gone really well. You said the law that you're pleased about.
My point is, let's wait and see. I think many countries...
I'm waiting to see what law you're going to tell me about.
Hang on. Well, we'll negotiate, and Starmer can negotiate for the Britain.
Don't change the subject.
Not for Europe.
Don't change the subject. Paul.
He can negotiate.
Paul, time for one of your wry chuckles, I think, Paul, isn't it now? Time for a wry chuckle? I'm still waiting for the law, of which there are loads.
Well, one of the great benefits is that now we're in this situation.
What about bendy bananas?
Now we're in this situation.
3-pin plugs?
Can negotiate for Britain.
Wrapping your fish and chips in newspaper. What's the law you're happiest that you don't have to obey anymore?
In this situation, one of the greatest benefits is that Starmer can
just say there aren't any, Paul, because everybody listening knows.
Well, this is a great one, isn't it?
Go on. What's your law?
Example.
What's the law?
Well, no, hang on.
No, I'm not. I've hung on for long enough. What's the law you no longer have to obey that justifies your Brexit vote in 2016?
Well, I'll turn it around to answer the question.
No, you can't. So you have to ask. No, you can't. Just answer the question.
Europe are not going to negotiate for us. We're going to negotiate for ourselves. That's the difference.
Let me know what you thought of the debate, and don't forget to subscribe for more content. You're about to witness James O'Brien absolutely destroy Trump supporters. So subscribe if you can't wait to see the clips, and I'll give you my thoughts throughout. Let's get straight into it.
I want to say I'm actually a fan of Trump, and I think there's a lot of stuff in the media which are lies.
Go on.
I don't know yourself. You're obviously anti-Trump.
Now go on. What are the lies that you're unhappy about?
Well, no, I just think you even said this morning, you said it's okay for him, what is it, the quote you used, it's okay to be racist again?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you draw that conclusion?
He accused Barack Obama of not having been born in America and lying about his birth certificate.
So how's that racist?
birtherism is racist because Barack Obama is well, you can't. I mean, you can talk over me if you want, Stephen. But okay, no, you crack on. There have been previous
presidents that have actually been white that have also not been accused of being born in America. So was that also racist?
No, of course it wouldn't be racist. Who was that, by the way?
I think a president from 1880. It goes back over
No, come on. You're on national radio. You've got your ducks in a row. Tell me about the last time an American president was accused of not being born in America.
I've forgotten the names. But
don't be silly. Don't tease me. Of course you haven't forgotten the name. You wouldn't come on the radio and say something and then immediately fall apart in response to the first question you're asked.
It's not falling apart.
Okay, so let's go back to the lies that have been told about Donald Trump. Which one would you reach for first?
Well, the one that you just said it's okay for the racist to come out.
Well, we've just demonstrated he's very popular with racists, Stephen. I think we can all agree on that.
Well, he's not popular with racists.
So it wasn't white nationalists that invaded the Capitol last week, then. Steve Bannon, his key advisor. Steve Bannon, his key advisor during the presidential campaign, who's now been pardoned for ripping off Trump supporters. He didn't say you should wear the accusation of racism like a badge of honour.
Well, that's his quote. I mean, if that's what he's saying. But you can't just say then that everyone that marched on the Capitol is racist.
I didn't. I said they were white nationalists.
Well, you're also portraying that.
So let's go back to the lies, Stephen. Let's go back to the lies that the mainstream media in America has told about Donald Trump.
Well, I've just told you the fact that he's racist.
But we've just proved that he is.
but because he's questioned someone's birth certificate, that makes him racist.
No, because he questioned a black man's birth certificate, knowing that it was absolutely untrue. So that would be called a racist lie, which is encouraged to make people who are uncomfortable with Barack Obama's skin colour believe something that's not true about him, because it then undermines the legitimacy of his presidency. So briefly, because I mean it's not going great, but I'd like you to stick around for a little bit longer. What is it you liked about him, Stephen?
I think that he come out and spoke a lot of the truth on stuff.
Yeah, what stuff? Stephen's hung up.
What a clown. He can't even back up a single point he's made throughout the interview. And when the going gets tough, the only thing he can do is hang up the call. Why do people call national radio when they literally have no clue how to defend their point? This next one is more of the same. Let's take a look.
James, cards on the table, Brexit here, loving Trump's work, and...
What's your favourite bit?
Well, all of it, but I think what you...
No, your favourite bit. What's the thing he's done that you love the most?
You said you've bumped into Boris yourself.
Go on, mate. I just asked you a question. You said cards on the table. You said cards on the table, but you're not letting me look at your cards. That's an odd way of playing.
Because I want to just cut to the chase. Boris...
No, cards on the table. What's the thing Trump's done that you love the most?
Because he is a man of his word.
What's he done that you love the most?
Pardon?
What's he done that you love the most? You said, I'm loving his work. So what's the act of...
Because he's a politician who tends to, unlike here, do what he says.
Yeah, so what's he done? Well, what's the thing he's done? What's the act of work he's done?
I'm not in tune with the American politics.
Cards on the table, I love his work. Give me one example of the work that you love. Over to you, Alex.
Balls of steel. Okay?
No, but you're going to have to answer it before we carry on, because it's cards on the table, Alex. That's your own words, mate.
Because he's very much like Boris. He's a cad, he's a rogue, he's always...
No, but we know all that. You said you love his work. You said cards on the table, I love his work. So show me one card. They're on the table, Alex.
What I'm trying to say to you is he's a politician, but he's not the normal politician.
Cards on the table, Alex. Just show me one of those cards that you said in that really upbeat way. Cards on the table, James. I love his work. So show me one card.
James.
One card.
James.
One card.
Some people voted Brexit, others didn't. And
one card, Alex.
Carry on.
One card.
I'm not with you, James.
One card.
I'm not with you, James. I'm trying just to say.
I love his work. Cards on the table. Give me one example of the work that you love.
So much work because James.
So much work. So much work. It'll be really easy to give me one example.
No. Everybody in London voted for him, remember?
Nobody in London voted for Donald Trump. Give me one example of the work he's done that you love, Alex.
People voted for Boris, remember?
Cards on the table, Alex. Cards on the table, Alex. Show me a card.
I'm just not that in tune with American politics to give you a definite answer, but I'm trying to say to you,
right.
Boris,
So when you said cards on the table, what you meant was, I don't even know whether I'm playing Snap or poker.
No, I'm trying to say to you, Boris, you have to embrace what he is. And people voted for him, right or wrong. He is a bit of a clown. He's everything you said he is. And I think he orchestrated this leakage. I think a friend of that recorded that. It was all done on purpose and construed to make a lot of media interest and chaos talking about Boris. And remember, when he went on the Marr show talking about Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, he inadvertently spilled the beans of his MI6, MI5 briefings straight out to Marr.
No, he didn't know now. So, you see, not only have you made a complete cretin of yourself, you've also just libelled the Foreign Secretary.
Why not? Everyone else does.
No, mate. You see, cards on the table, Alex. You're a clown.
He starts the call so boldly by declaring all his cards are on the table, but can't reveal what a single card says. I think we're starting to notice a bit of a pattern with these callers, aren't we? He can't name the thing that Trump's done that he likes. He just likes him because he says it how it is, which granted is refreshing for a politician these days, but it's a pretty weak argument if that's the only positive thing you can say. Next, we go to a caller from across the pond with some completely baseless claims.
This is the atmosphere that Donald Trump has come into. The average Americans don't vote because they're just disenchanted with the entire thing. They think they're all crooks. It doesn't matter. And for people to scoff and say, oh, well, there's no proof of that. Oh, it can't be true.
Yes.
I'm sorry, man. I just think that's a little bit naive. Yeah, I mean...
So you're talking about an environment of... Because Trump is the crook that they thought all politicians were, but he comes...
But the thing is he's an honest crook, mate. It's like there's no... You know what I'm saying? He's not hiding it. You know, you say that, oh, Biden sounded like a statesman. Like, that's a good thing.
Yes.
It's not.
Right.
It's somebody who spent their life being a polished liar, taking corporate agenda and pushing it through.
Are you describing what you?
These are not good things.
Are you describing what you think now, or what you think they think?
This is what I believe, and this is what I've spoken to many of my friends back in America. We talk about these things, you know. And you've got the whole media juggernaut as well.
If I asked you to persuade me that Joe Biden was a polished liar, what would you do?
I just pointed his 50-year career.
Yeah, well, go on.
How else could he possibly stay in power? I mean, this is the whole
that's
thing
a question. That's a question, not an answer.
From outside.
No, I know, but I just want you to.
I'll be honest with you, man. I don't have any facts because I didn't know anything about Joe Biden before I heard his name as the elector.
But you're absolutely certain that he spent half a century lying.
If he's a politician, he's been in the job for that long. I don't see how he could avoid it.
But you just said you'd never heard of him before. Last year.
I don't need to hear.
He was vice president.
This is what I think of average American.
Shouting louder doesn't make any more sense because he was vice president for 8 years.
Right. Again, I'd never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him.
I mean, is it fair to suggest? Is it fair to suggest that you may not be the best qualified commentator on American politics?
I'm just trying to give you a look into.
And I am. You've given me a very interesting look, Jim.
I'm the average person as well.
You may be, but you've admitted you know absolutely nothing, but you're certain of your prejudices.
I'm certain that this is the way that it's going to be looked at by the people like Trump's followers.
No, that's why I said to you, are you telling me what you think, or are you telling me what you think they think?
I'm telling you what I think. I'm telling you.
And you think that Joe Biden,
between my friends that I've spoken to about the subject?
I understand that. I find it horrible what you're describing, but I don't think you're lying. I think you're being honest. So you can look at Donald Trump and see what you described as an honest crook, and there is all the evidence of his wrongdoing that goes back 50 years. And you know, we could make a list. We'd be here until Christmas.
Yep. The man's got immense character flaws.
Not character flaws. Criminality.
I do not think he's a good person.
But then you've got Joe Biden over there, and you've got no evidence whatsoever of his malfeasance or misbehaviour, but you're absolutely convinced he's a wrong-un. So would you mind if I...
Again, I would refer back to the Panorama program that I saw, which appalled me.
Yes, but was he in it?
A news crew can go over, pretend to be a lobbyist.
But was Joe Biden in? Was Joe Biden in it?
No.
So are you? I've got two questions. Do you recognise on any level how ridiculous you sound? And I say that affectionately.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I suppose so. So now.
And the second question is who did this to you? Where do you think this came from, because you weren't born like this. At some point in the last 50 years, you've become a man who's absolutely convinced of things despite having no evidence for it whatsoever. How do you think that happened?
Because I have been pulled over, and I have had police in America rewrite the arrest report, and I have had basically lies told in court about me, and I have had trouble in America.
And that's how you know that Joe Biden is not to be trusted.
This is my personal experience with the establishment.
Oh, what? Being pulled over by police in America?
That's right.
Okay. Well, it's been interesting talking to you, Jim.
I had a can of beer.
Oh,
it was unopened.
There's more.
Unopened in my car.
Yes.
And they wrote it up as an open container. And I ended up with a DUI.
And that's how you know that Joe Biden is corrupt.
That's just hilarious. He's certain that Joe Biden is a liar, despite not knowing who he was until he was elected. You genuinely can't write this stuff. And I love how he describes Trump's crimes as character flaws. That's one way to phrase it. He then says his personal experience with the police is the reason he's the way he is. But that literally has no correlation to why Biden is a liar. It's very, very strange. But one common theme between all these callers is that we have a very strong opinion, but then once they're asked a question, literally any question about it, they become extremely defensive or aggressive or just hang up. It's like they've never had their views challenged before. And it's really interesting to understand why people believe the things they do without actually knowing what they believe. Which person do you think was the worst caller? Make sure you subscribe and leave your thoughts down in the comments, because I'm genuinely interested to see what you guys say. In this video, we'll go through all the times James O'Brien has embarrassed Trump supporters. Let's not waste any time and get straight into it.
On Trump, and I know you want to talk about, he's the only politician that actually does what he said when he did in his campaign.
What's he done that he said he was going to do?
Well, he said he was going to build a border.
Has he built a wall?
He hasn't built it yet.
Right, so what's he done that he said he was going to do?
He's bringing in protected things to protect the American steel industry.
He's doing what?
He's trying to bring in
the tariffs.
Tariffs and
you've seen that Harley-Davidson is moving production out of America as a result of the tariff battle.
Yes, I saw that in today's paper.
Did he say that was going to happen in the election?
No, he didn't.
Right, so it's the wall that hasn't been built yet and the tariffs that are seeing American manufacturers move out of America.
I'm not a fan of Trump.
Don't come on and tell me he's the only politician that delivers in his what he said he was going to deliver in his campaign. Did he say anything about becoming the world's child catcher in chief? Can you remember him saying that during the campaign?
This idea that Trump is the only politician that says it how it is means nothing if what he says is utter nonsense. Now we go to a very angry Trump supporter, which is just total carnage.
No, I do not.
He is going to change that legislation.
If he stops it...
What are you cross about? You're agreeing with me. I said he was, and you want him to.
Yes, but you said it in a manner that as if you objected to it. No, also...
Well, that's because I think women should decide what happens to their bodies, not you.
But it's not their bodies, it's someone else's body.
All right, okay. Well, let's disagree on that then. You carry on with other reasons to be cheerful.
You talked about inner rage. Yes, I am filled with rage.
I know.
But I am not filled with rage for the reasons you think. For the past 8 years, I have been filled with rage because of this demonic, despotic, satanic dynasty that is the Obamas and the Clintons, who have utterly destroyed the American family. The proper conservative...
I have to warn you, Donny, just in the interest of openness, a lot of people now will be, in fact, I could probably read you a couple, they'll be claiming that we deliberately filter our calls to put on people who sound a bit mad, and we deliberately don't let anyone on who can make a cogent argument, and it's all very carefully filtered. I just want to clarify, A, that is not the case here, and B, I'm quite insulted on your behalf.
I don't care. Well, actually, this is the first time I've ever called you, and I waited about an hour, but I don't mind.
Demonic, despotic dynasty, the Obamas and the Clintons.
The corrupt Clintons, Hillary Clinton has never produced a thing in her life. A family who have made billions from Saudi money, money from the media, whereas Trump at least has earned his money, at least he produces something. Everything that can come from Trump can only be good. The Clintons, the Obamas have obliterated the American ethic entirely.
How did they do that? How did they do that? And also, while you're at it, why are Obama's approval ratings 57% at the moment?
I don't care. That's young people.
Okay.
Do you know something, James?
A few things. Not as much as you, though, Donny.
James, look. James, listen, I wouldn't give young people the vote. They're too stupid to vote. That's it. You don't have any wisdom about you until you're in your 30s, almost 40, for this generation. Young people should not be given the vote. You know, I'll tell you what to do.
Yes.
Go and look at some footage of a rapper called JC and Beyonce just recently. They spewed the most hateful filth I have ever heard on stage. And guess what? Hillary Clinton came on amid great cheers. This is the woman that you would have as president. A woman who embraces rap stars who are the very antithesis of everything that is right in the family. And you would rather she was president. And you dare to call Donald Trump the Antichrist, whatever he is.
Hey? I think you're the one using the religious imagery, but if you want to talk about family values, how do you feel about Donald Trump saying that he'd probably date his own daughter if he wasn't her father?
That is tongue-in-cheek remarks. That means nothing. I don't care what he did.
But rappers preach the gospel from the stage. When Donald Trump says that he'd date his own daughter if they weren't related, that's tongue-in-cheek.
Rappers didn't say that. Rappers... I'll tell you what, go and watch the video.
I've really enjoyed listening to you, and I think you should probably go and have a little lie down now.
Yeah, well, we'll go and have a lie down, and I'll rest the sleep. I'll rest the sleep of the innocent.
Yes, you have the sleep of the innocent. Are you being tongue-in-cheek now, or is that a real person?
Someone proper is in power now. Someone good, someone right is in power now. The nightmare has ended.
There you go. That's better, isn't it? It's not till January. You do not... Oh, no, I shouldn't tell him that, should I? You know it's not until January. The despotic, demonic dynasty is still there until January.
Yes, and I will enjoy this honeymoon period while it lasts.
Good. God bless, Donny.
I can't even attempt to dissect that. I wonder what he thinks of Trump now. He was maybe one of the more unhinged callers I've ever seen call into LBC. Now for a caller who completely falls apart at the most simple question.
I think it's racist what he said to the four ladies in Congress there, in any way, shape or form. They're all Americans. And he's just pointing out that their disruptive activities, I mean, they're hardline socialists, mate. They're left-wing extremists. And they're trying to change American politics from within. And he's just pointing that out.
And what's he trying to do when he took over from Barack Obama? Was he trying to carry on doing politics exactly the same as Obama did, or was he trying to change it from within?
Well, Obama didn't successfully change it from within, so it's
not a trick question. Did Donald Trump seek to carry on conducting politics in America in a fashion identical to his predecessor, or did he seek to change it from within by becoming president?
I know it's not a trick question, and I'll say exactly what I just said again. Obama didn't change American society like he wanted to, so Donald Trump is just re-establishing American capitalism.
Pardon?
You heard.
Donald Trump is re-establishing American capitalism. 51 months of consecutive growth, all of which began with Obama.
No, Obama's taking credit for growth. That's absolute hogwash, and you know it.
Stuart, can you count?
Mate, you are in sympathy with these ladies in Congress who are trying to transform the country
Stuart, you're
into
on the
a socialist
radio.
country. Don't interrupt me, mate. Don't interrupt me. You are on the side of these women because you would favour socialist society, a left-wing society as well.
Go on, mate. I'm not interrupting you. I'm waiting for you to say something sensible.
No, you just can't come back with anything. Mate, you're in sympathy with these women, and
Name them. Name them.
Media.
Name them.
Well, AOC, for a start.
What does that stand for?
Alexandria Occasional Cortex.
No. So you know all about their politics, you don't even know their names, and you're on national radio having your pants pulled down.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, Presley.
Mate, you've got your phone out. You've got your phone out now.
Yes,
you come on national radio, claiming that you know everything about their policy. So, which policy do you think most demonstrates their socialist tendencies, Stuart?
High taxes beyond all belief, and ploughing that money into public services.
Mate, you can't have high taxes under socialism because everybody earns the same. So let's try again. Which policy do you think best espouses their socialist tendencies?
No, everyone earns the same after the socialist template's successful, which means destroying the middle class.
So they don't want socialism, then they want high taxes for high earners.
Are you telling me those women don't want socialism in America?
Stuart, I'm telling you, you don't even know their names. Stuart, you don't even know their names. Did you just say? Did you just say fifth column?
I knew you'd ask me.
Yes, but you looked it up on your phone. Stop interrupting. Sorry, Stuart, carry on.
Right, I knew you'd ask me their names because you couldn't come back with anything, so I looked on the screen on my phone, yes.
Why didn't you know their names before you rang in?
Because I just looked them up and researched them, mate, and I know exactly what...
Why didn't you know their names before you rang in if you know everything about their politics? Why do you think... Theoretically, why do you think you might not know their names, but you know what they stand for politically?
Mate, I got their names up on the webpage.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I
knew you were going to ask me their names because you couldn't come back with a valid argument.
I already have. I've asked you to name one socialist policy that they support.
High tax.
That's not socialism.
It is socialism.
Okay, Stuart. What do you think socialism means?
Socialism is an ideology. You subscribe to it. Doesn't work.
What does it mean?
It's never been proved to work.
What does it mean, Stuart? For the record, I'm not a socialist, but tell me.
Look, mate, I'm in support of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know you are.
Comments on,
and you like the racism, but what do you think? What do you think socialism means?
Look, you're not going to Wikipedia me out of this argument, mate.
I don't need to. I know what it means. Tell me what you think it means. I didn't say the word. You did. What does it mean?
It means collapse. And you know it. And you subscribe to it.
Go on.
And it will never work.
Socialism means collapse. You know it. Socialism means collapse. Yes. Do you want to say something? Do you want to expand on that, Stuart, at all?
Well, the socialist policies, mate, have never been proved to work.
So name a socialist policy, Stuart. We're back round the other side of the circle now. You can't define what it means, and you can't name a single socialist policy. What are you so angry about?
Well, I'm trying to actually speak, mate. You just constantly interrupting me and getting me to name things, right?
Yes, like a socialist policy or the meaning of socialism.
So this is what happens, you see.
I know.
A left-wing media commentator will not let someone speak when their opinion is against theirs.
What does socialism mean? You can't have an opinion about socialism if you don't know what it means. So what does it mean?
To me, personally?
No, you silly sausage. To everybody, not to you personally.
Right, socialism is an ideology. It's a political system, and it does not work.
What does it mean?
What does it mean? Look, James, I phoned in support of Donald Trump.
I know.
His comments aren't racist. Those women are...
What does socialism mean? Stuart, what does socialism mean?
So this is what happens, you see. You get someone into a dead end. Socialism, I don't know the Wikipedia... You know, you're trying to get me Wikipedia me to death here.
No, just any meaning at all, Stuart. I didn't mention the word. It's 12 o'clock. I've been doing this topic for an hour. No one said socialism except you. What does it mean?
No, everyone that's phoned in has more or less been in support of the 4/5 columners there in America.
What does socialism mean, Stuart?
Right, to all your listeners, okay, as they are listening and nodding their head, the ones that are supporting what I'm saying is, socialism is a template that the four ladies in Congress are trying to bring into America. It doesn't work.
Stuart doesn't know what it means. Stuart hasn't got a clue what it... Stuart's on national radio condemning socialism and revealing he doesn't know what it means.
Okay, it's high taxes, it's healthcare for all that doesn't work or bankrupt the country. It is attacking big business. It's an incestuous relationship between big business and government.
Sweetheart. Listen, next time...
Patronising, you see.
Of course I'm patronising you. You're a clown. You're on national radio condemning socialism and you've been asked...
You're a clown.
No, you're a clown. No, you're a clown.
And you're just as bad as those women in Congress.
And you're just as... And my dad's bigger than your dad.
If you're going to go on the radio and criticise socialist policies, you might want to do your research on what those policies are and what socialism actually is. Let me know who you think the worst caller was, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Right, so we've got a very interesting clip from James O'Brien in light of the murder of Charlie Kirk. As always, I'll give you my full thoughts at the end of the video.
We return to that hideous killing in America. Two things that we picked up on yesterday. I think one of these problems was solved. I began yesterday's programme not really having a very clear idea of who Charlie Kirk was or indeed what he stood for. And I ended it with a much clearer idea, which it is not quite as straightforward a process as you might think. I got a few messages yesterday complaining that we were playing out clips of what the chap actually said, the self-styled free speech champion. And then I bumped into Ian Dale yesterday evening and he said, "Oh, you're getting a lot of flack on Twitter." And I said, "Well, what on earth have I done now?" And he said, "Oh, people think that you were wrong to play out clips of Charlie Kirk talking." I'm like, how can anybody be cross that you're playing out? I mean, what would he want? in the aftermath of his appalling murder? Would he want his positions, his arguments, his messages to be more widely disseminated than ever before, or would he want people to essentially censor him posthumously? How can it possibly be... I don't know. I gave up trying to work out what passes for the logic in the minds of these kind of people a long time ago. It's not true, is it? I'll never give up trying to work it out, but I gave up much hope that I would ever succeed. And the other bit that was missing from the analysis, from the entire story, was the definition of who they were. So Donald Trump moved immediately, as Donald Trump will always do, to turn this tragedy into whatever would be most to the benefit of Donald Trump. And so he elected to list attacks upon Republican politicians, refer to attacks upon Republican politicians, and completely ignore attacks upon Democrat politicians, many of which have been undertaken by people who were proven to be Donald Trump supporters or Donald Trump admirers, and talked about radical left rhetoric. I heard a lot of talk, I've seen a lot of talk about they. I'll play you a clip in a moment of a Fox News commentator saying they're at war with us. And I genuinely don't know who they are. And obviously there's a frisson of concern, not necessarily fear, that it just means anybody who keeps telling the truth about these people and this movement. Anybody who, for example, considers it absolutely unconscionable that you could pardon insurrectionists who attacked the Capitol and left the police officers traumatized, terrified, and even dead. You know, is that what he means? What is the radical left rhetoric? So there were two things missing from our conversation yesterday. And I answered one of those questions. I now know what he stood for. I don't remove, and I appreciate some people have been less empathetic than me, if you like. But I don't resile a single scintilla of sympathy and horror at what happened to the guy. I used the word courageous yesterday to describe my reaction to the discovery that he always debated people. I don't know that I would reuse that word today, because I've had a look at some of the clips, I've had a look at some of the debates, and I don't really know how courageous it was. I've also seen quite a lot of clips of him losing, but the criticisms he received... But I'll tell you why I say that, because I don't think I'm courageous. And what he did essentially was what I do from a very different political position and not on the radio. So if I get the better of somebody, there'll be a long queue of people claiming that I've been condescending or I've bullied them, or we can't really edit things to make me look better than I actually am, because the whole flipping show is up on YouTube from beginning to end. But I don't want to be yin to his yang, and I'm obviously nowhere near as important on the political stage on either side of the Atlantic. But I don't know that it's courageous to say, prove me wrong. I just used the word to describe him in contrast to a lot of people who seem to have similar politics and will never stand up and be counted. So in relative terms, he had more courage than Hank Buncher-Numbers with a bald eagle avatar who spends his life disseminating negativity and bigotry on social media. And I didn't like what I discovered about him. And the more I discovered about him during yesterday's programme, the more troubled I was by the response, particularly of Boris Johnson, actually, who talked about all he ever did was say common sense things. And then you read some of the things that he'd actually said, or you listened to some of the things that he'd actually said, and you wondered whether Boris Johnson... The nicest thing you could say about Boris Johnson was that he didn't know. He should have listened to yesterday's show, because he was responding. And that, of course, is when I realised why people would get so cross about anybody reading out what he'd said or playing out actual footage of him talking. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine casting yourself as a disciple of somebody you describe as a free speech champion, and then he tragically gets murdered by persons as yet unknown, which is an element of the conversation that we're moving towards. He tragically gets murdered, and all of the people who consider themselves to be disciples of a free speech champion have hissy fits and conniptions over the words that he spoke, over people playing the words that he spoke. I'm not often completely baffled by bigotry. But I've got to tell you, that one's got me right in the confused zone of my brain. So you don't want me to find out what he stood for, even as I condemn his murder. Why don't you want me to find out why don't you want people to know what he stood for? Surely that's a grave disservice to his memory. You think he'd be ashamed of the things that he was recorded saying? You think he'd be ashamed of the positions he adopted? You think he'd be ashamed of the arguments that he made? Or are you ashamed of the fact that you agree with them and therefore you don't want anybody holding up the mirror? As usual, I generally, when I'm completely baffled by people, I realise it is what they see in the mirror that's being held up that they're repelled by, rather than the person actually holding up the mirror. That just becomes a wonderful exercise in projection. So I'm categorically not praising the man, but I am discovering with every passing hour the reality of his opinions. And that then takes us to the reaction. And I've seen actually one right-winger. I'm not familiar with him. I'm not that plugged into American politics. And I don't know whether he's ignorant of history or whether he's absolutely stupid. But I've seen one right-wing commentator this morning suggesting that this is like the Reichstag fire in Nazi Germany. The Reichstag fire, if you don't know, involved the German parliament building being set on fire by one individual who was a Dutch communist. And Hitler used it to claim that this was all part of a massive conspiracy by all the communists, because 1930s Germany could have gone either way. It could have gone far left or far right. And Hitler knew that. The biggest threat to him politically was probably from communists. And he therefore lied about it being a massive conspiracy of people, and that they had to round up all the communists. And once they started rounding up the communists and closing down democracy and co-opting the judiciary, you know what happened next. So I was a little surprised to see that point being made by somebody who would very much style themselves as on the same side of politics as Donald Trump or indeed Charlie Kirk. I didn't know Charlie Kirk was one of the people that lied about the 2020 election. So, again, you know, I don't know what his position was on the insurrectionists, but pardoning people who've tried to overthrow democracy by using political violence is surely, under any analysis whatsoever, more of a catalyst for political violence than calling people names. And then I've also found myself in the last 24 hours reading people who used to claim that calling people names is just hurty words. Even Farage is in the Daily Mail today complaining about people being called names. And yet these are the guys who 10 minutes ago were telling us that our free speech was under that. I mean, I'm just really confused. Until you start wondering whether it is, as always, all about the race. As is often the way, the transgender people being used as camouflage in the first instance to go all in on the racism. Allowing public discourse to be vile again in the context of transgender people, you're never going to get that genie back in the bottle, and all of the people whose bigotries extend far beyond one issue have been filling their boots ever since. I want you to listen to something. First of all, I want you to listen to this. This is a political commentator from the Republican Party. I think he used to work for George Bush. He definitely worked for one of the George Bushes. I just can't completely remember which one. This guy got sacked.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
That is a guy called Matthew Dowd speaking on MSNBC. He got fired for those words shortly afterwards. This is a guy called Jesse Waters speaking on Fox News in more or less the same window of time, and both in response to this horrible murder.
Trump gets hit in the ear. Charlie gets shot dead. They came after Kavanaugh with a rifle to his neighborhood. They went after Musk's cars. They just shot 2 Jews outside the embassy. Think about it. Scalise got shot, barely survived. It's happening. You got trans shooters. You got riots in L.A. They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? And that's the question we're just going to have to ask ourselves. Now, Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible. Dana nailed it. This is unacceptable and has to stop. And it has to stop now. And everybody's accountable. And we're watching what they're saying on television and who's saying what. The politicians, and the media, and all of these rats out there. This can never happen again. It ends now. Greg's right again. This is a turning point, and we know which direction we're going.
He's still got a job. And, you know, I share his condemnation of political violence, but who are they? Who is this homogenous group of people that are all responsible for the actions of those individuals? I mean, he did actually go further.
We're angry, and we're resolute. And we're going to avenge Charlie's death in the way Charlie would want it to be avenged.
Are you talking about avenging now? And how can you be opposed to political violence but supportive of a man who pardoned the January the 6th insurrectionists? You remember that footage, you saw it, you watched it. Donald Trump lost an election and his supporters attacked the Capitol and attacked the public servants working there and bayed for the blood of the actual vice president. I still don't know enough about Charlie Kirk to know how he would feel about the coverage of his murder. But, I mean, I'm certain that he wouldn't want people to be complaining about hearing his words being repeated and disseminated. And I don't know. I mean, listen, if you're going to... You talk about all of the people that Waters guy just talked about, and it's right to do so, but you then have to talk about Melissa Hortman and her husband, targeted in their homes, killed by a Trump supporter. It's a matter of record. The man charged with the attempted assassination of Pennsylvania's Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro in April, a Trump supporter. 4 Democratic elected officials targeted in New Mexico in 2022. The man who tried to kidnap the Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and actually assaulted her husband, Paul. That's something that Donald Trump Jr. made jokes about. Imagine if someone was making jokes, someone in public life, a really senior Democrat, was making jokes about Charlie Kirk's murder now. What do you think would happen to them? But Donald Trump's son made jokes about attempted kidnap and attack upon senior Democrats. Everybody who wanted to hang Mike Pence on January the 6th, 2021 was a Trump supporter. By definition, if you were there, you weren't just a Trump supporter, you were also spreading lies, buying lies, disseminating lies, or, to be generous, believing lies. And the list goes on. And the list should be married to the other list. They should all be on the same list. Gabby Giffords shot in the head, a Democrat. We speak about they, all of these Democrats. Is there some unidentified homogenous group, the radical left? Who are you talking about? People who support political violence. There are 2 types of people. People who support political violence and people who don't. Actually, there are 3 types of people. There are people who undertake political violence, and they are the worst. All right? Then there are the people who support political violence, and they are the second worst. And then there are the people who abhor and condemn political violence, and they are all of us. Why is that suddenly complicated in the context of this story? Why is it suddenly tribal? Why is it political or footballified? Here are the people who undertake political violence, up to and including whoever turns out to have shot Charlie Kirk and all of the people, for example, who attacked the Capitol in 2021. Here are the people who support political violence, whoever is doing it. And here are the people who don't. That's a scary division, right? That's a really scary division. Because you kind of end up being told, in this context, in this sort of crucible of very carefully cultivated hatred, that anybody who disagrees with you is responsible for the political violence enacted against the people who agree with you. Anybody who disagrees with you, it's a bit like what they tried to do with the Palestinian peace marches. If you're protesting, if you're demonstrating solidarity with innocent people being killed in Gaza, then you must support Hamas. If you disagree with Donald Trump, then you must support the people who tried to kill him. If you disagree with some of the racist conspiracy theories that Charlie Kirk adhered to, notably the Great Replacement Theory, if you disagree with that, then you must somehow endorse his murder. I mean, is that what they're saying? Is that what it is? Is it actually a lot simpler than it originally looks? It's all about controlling the narrative, and the narrative is that everybody who disagrees with us, just as we saw with the Reichstag fire, everybody who disagrees with us deserves the violence that we are pretending to condemn and abhor.
First and foremost, I do want to be respectful and just say rest in peace. I do think this is a really divisive moment in the West, because you have a lot of people from both sides kind of using this as a tool to fuel a specific point or agenda that they're trying to push, which does just seem a little bit messed up in my opinion. And I think James O'Brien initially played some clips a few days ago with kind of the things Charlie Kirk has said, and I think this stirred a lot of people up the wrong way. And it's quite interesting, right? Because I think the point he's making is like, he is playing clips of someone who James O'Brien admitted didn't know too much about. But then people on the right are getting angry that he's playing clips about him, and it's like, what's the anger for? And I think the comparison to the Gaza protests is particularly astute. You know, if you criticize Israeli policy, you must support Hamas. If you criticize Trump, you must support his would-be assassins. If you disagree with the racist conspiracy theories, then you must endorse murder. It's a rhetorical technique designed to make any criticism literally equivalent to supporting terrorism, which we all know isn't true. And I think what makes this analysis quite powerful is that O'Brien's refusal, or O'Brien's refusing in playing along with the tribalism. He condemns Kirk's murder unequivocally, and whilst also examining what Kirk actually stood for, which I think is a completely fair position to have. He lists political violence from both sides while maintaining that violence is wrong regardless of who does it. And I think it's that kind of level-headed approach that we should be looking at this incident with. But I'm going to leave it there. Appreciate it's quite a difficult topic to speak about, but I am keen to see what you guys think in the comments. So let me know, and I'll catch you in the next one.